أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Say, He is God, the One, God the Absolute. He begets not, nor was He begotten, and there is nothing comparable to Him. Sadaqallahul Azim. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الحمد لله. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله النبي الكريم وعلى آله أصحابه أجمعين. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum everyone for joining us today. TAIF Digital Institute for Islamic Finance welcomes you all. Those who are joining in will be starting in about 5 minutes from now. The topic of today's webinar is Islamic microfinance, an effective tool for poverty elevation. This beautiful session will be moderated by Dr. Anika Malik. She is the managing partner of Transform Commune University, Associate in Education and Research Community, bridging the gap between communities and institutions. She is a published author and is also the founder of Integral Solidarity Research Academy, ISRA. So the next voice you're going to hear is from Dr. Anika Malik.
Good morning from London and Assalamu alaikum everybody. Thank you for joining. It's going to be an exciting webinar. And firstly, let me just thank TAIF for organizing this webinar. So TAIF is a digital learning institute focusing on enhancing and developing resources, manpower, and providing digital learning solutions for Islamic banks and in Islamic finance institutions. Their objective is to enlighten the life of people by offering Islamic finance as an alternative, ethical, and equitable solution to the masses, and to take enhanced knowledge of Islamic finance to every nook and corner of the world. So digitizing the knowledge, especially in today's world, makes it easier to access and available to all. So that's TAIF, and let me now tell you about my prominent guest today. So we are honored to host two prominent names and leading figures in the Islamic microfinance sector. Dr. Muhammad Amjad Saqib, founder of Akhuwat Foundation, Pakistan, and Ustad Jamil Abbas, Deputy Director, Islamic Finance Inclusion at Kengs, Indonesia. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. So today's webinar provides you with an opportunity to learn and explore with our distinguished guests two main areas as per the topic of our webinar. That is, what is Islamic microfinance? That is the distinction between Islamic and conventional microfinance. And secondly, how could it be practically and more efficiently used as an effective tool for poverty alleviation? For example, we will be sharing with you the concepts of Karde Hasan and Baitul Mal. Just a brief history of microfinance, because I'm not too sure if everybody is familiar with this term. Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh came up with the idea of microcredit in 1974 while studying the lives of poor entrepreneurs in his native Bangladesh during the famine of 1974. Islamic microfinance, which just the term is relatively a young industry, even though the concepts they go back when 1400 years ago, basically, with the inception of Islam and Islamic concept. So our esteemed guests will be presenting two distinctive models of Islamic microfinance to provide you with an in-depth insight into how these models are used for financial inclusion and for bettering lives of not too fortunate amongst us. So the first model will be presented by Dr. Saqib is Akhuwat's model of Karde Hasan or benevolent loan. Akhwat Foundation is world's largest Qard-e Hasan organization, having provided zero-interest loans to more than 4 million families within Pakistan. And the second model, presented by Ustad Jamil Abbas, is of Baitul Mal Tamweel, which translates as House of Social and Business. So Jamil will be sharing with us the BMT Islamic Microfinance model, which has been adopted by over 3,000 institutions within Indonesia. The way our webinar is structured today is that Dr. Amjad Saqib will start his presentation first, and then Ustad Jamil will present his model, and in between I'll be asking them questions, pertinent questions, which will last for about 35 minutes each, and after that we'll open the floor for your questions. So let's start with Akhwat Foundation first, for which I invite Dr. Amjad Saqib to enlighten us with his unique model of microfinance, homegrown in Pakistan. But first, let me briefly introduce Dr. Amjad Saqib to you. Even though I'm sure many of you might already be very well acquainted with him. He's the founder of Akhwat Foundation, a world-renowned development practitioner, author, and a former civil servant. On account of his remarkable achievements in restoring human dignity to Pakistan's most vulnerable communities through financial inclusion, education, healthcare, and presenting food and clothes, Dr. Saqib has received worldwide recognition. Most recently, he has been presented with the Commonwealth's 31st Point of Light Award by Queen Elizabeth II. He has also been awarded Sitara-e-Imtiaz by the President of Pakistan. So over to you, Dr. Amjad Saqib. Let me just unmute him. Dr. Saqib, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, do you have my presentation?
I do.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Ms. Anika Malik. I'm extremely grateful for your kind words and for bringing the whole world to a single screen and inspiring all of us, sharing the Islamic microfinance. And it's great to see Brother Jamil. He has been an old friend, and we have worked together. And thank you very much for all this great effort. So I will be very brief. I will give a presentation maybe around 15 minutes, and then you can indulge in questions and answers, and subsequently, as you have organized the whole this meeting. So the topic, as you have mentioned already, and it is Islamic microfinance, an effective tool for poverty alleviation. We all know that poverty is pain and poverty is poison, and we can't build a better world unless the 2 billion people who are living in less than $2 a day are also provided with better opportunities in life. So the biggest issue and challenge for the whole humankind is poverty. So now the question is that what is microfinance and how can we relate microfinance with poverty alleviation? Very briefly, the microfinance is providing financial services like credit, savings, insurance, leasing, and the transfer of money. And as we know, all these services through microfinance are provided on the basis of social collateral. The physical collateral is not needed here. And this is the biggest dilemma, that 80% of the poor people who want these services, but they are denied of these services because they do not have physical collateral like assets and gold and jewelry or anything else. So microfinance is a very unique and innovative idea where these services, to ensure financial inclusion, we provide these services to the poor people without collateral. So why microfinance? The next question is, we want to nurture an inclusive society where there is political inclusion, where there is social inclusion, and where there is financial inclusion, because only an inclusive society is a society which would be ultimately poverty-free. So microfinance ensures financial inclusion. It alleviates poverty. It is the major contributing factor for social development. By social development, we mean the access of the poor people to education and health. Then it improves the quality of life. That means they have a better house to live in, they have a roof on their top, and they have a clean drinking water, they have sanitation facilities, they are living in a good environment. So this is how, starting from coming out of the poverty line, then having access to education and health, then they are further having a better quality of life. Then another reason for microfinance is it is extremely critical for women empowerment. By providing financial services to the poor people, and especially to the poor women, we are giving them a chance to move ahead. And then, of course, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the heart of everything. We need a world where there are plenty of entrepreneurs who are creative, who are innovative, who are not risk averse, and who want to start a business. So this is one thing which extremely critical, the capital which we provide them and promote entrepreneurship. Then obviously financial inclusion for the extremely marginalized people, extremely disadvantaged people, people living in far-flung rural areas, people living in deserts and peaks of the mountains. So the gender specific programs. So this is an attempt to include the extremely disadvantaged and marginalized peoples, and an effort to bring them within the core and to give them these services. And then, of course, as it is very popularly said, that credit is a basic human right. So equitable distribution of resources cannot be ensured unless we provide these financial services. So this is just a recapitulation. We all know why microfinance is critical, why it is significant. But at the same time, I would like to draw your attention towards some of the issues and the challenges which are being faced by conventional microfinance. So on the top is, of course, the high cost. It varies from area to area, continent to continent, country to country, but generally it is 25% to 60%. Here I'm not talking of any religion or faith, but only on the equity principle. This is unfair that a rich man who goes to buy some luxury item, some say a Mercedes car or a BMW car, and he goes to the bank and gets a loan at a rate of 5, 7, 8, or 10%. But a poor man who has to earn livelihood for his family, he goes to the bank or to the microfinance institution and bears the cost of 25 to 60%. So this is a big challenge. I'm not going into the details of why it is so high, because there are 4 or 5 reasons: the cost of capital, the cost of delivery, the cost of default, the cost of growth, the cost of technology, the cost of any profit involved in it. But despite those arguments which justify this high cost, it is still a very big challenge. The next is interest-based lending. Specifically talking about Muslim communities, people, they would never prefer to indulge themselves in a financial system which is based on riba or which is based on interest. So we need to develop a system to carve out a program which doesn't force the people to contradict their faith and religion. So we need to introduce some mechanisms and systems and procedures which make these non-interest based loans. Then while it is important to give women loans, but still exclusive focus on women is also another kind of apartheid. That why men who are entrepreneur, who are trustworthy, who are creditworthy, who are poor, why they are not being given loans? So this is also something to be noted. Then limited products which do not suit to the borrower's needs. We have designed some products, and we design those in a way that in every society, in every market, we are only concerned to provide those loans, those products. So we need to bring some kind of creative approach here as well. And then our focus is mostly on organizational sustainability. We are thinking that a sustainable organization will be in a position to provide a sustainable solution. But we see it in a different way. We see that as far as organizational sustainability is concerned, there is no doubt about that. But why don't we think of client sustainability? Because the whole microfinance paradigm is linked to two basic stakeholders, or the basic players. One is the organization and the other is the borrower or the client. So we believe that if client is sustainable, that will automatically result in organizational sustainability. So there is a long debate that which comes first and who should come first. But we believe that organizational sustainability shouldn't overshadow the client sustainability. And last but not least is that the whole microfinance movement, as Ms. Anika has very rightly pointed out, that it was started by Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. So Grameen was initially a non-profit organization, a civil society organization, and most of the microfinance programs were started the world over through civil society organizations. That means this was a passionate and compassionate attempt to help the poor people. But gradually, in the name of growth, in the name of sustainability, the whole movement was shifted to the banks, and it became a business and it became an industry. So while doing business, the real bottom line is always growth and maximization of the profit. So shifting of microfinance from the domain of NGOs to the banks, this, as very popularly said by a very dear friend, Mr. Malcolm Harper, that it has taken innocence out of microfinance. So now it is a business and it is an industry, and it is claimed that there are two bottom line and three bottom line, where financial sustainability is achieved, where growth is achieved, where income is derived. At the same time, the poor are helped. But these 3, 4, 5 bottom lines, but the real focus on the poor and the poverty alleviation and helping people come out of poverty without burdening them with the overwhelming cost that goes beyond. So these are the few issues which we need to consider. So we have been thinking on the definition of microfinance, on the challenges of microfinance, on the benefits and significance or importance of microfinance. And since we focused more on challenges and issues, so we came up with the solutions, and those solutions may you call Akhuwat. As we claim that Akhuwat provides some of the solutions of all these challenges. Number one, our features is Qarz Hasan or benevolent loan. That means providing interest-free loans to the poorest of the poor, no interest, no cost of capital, no service cost, and all these things. That is how we have introduced this. So this doesn't contradict the faith, number one, and it also is more this is affordable, because the borrower has to pay only the capital amount. Then using religious places like churches, mosques, and temples for loan disbursements. This has brought transparency, participation, and accountability. It has reduced the cost, and it has resulted in interfaith harmony, and it has brought some religious and faith-related impetus that, on the basis of spirit of Muwakhat, our solidarity with the poor, how can we enter into a partnership? How can we, inspire our poor brethren that we are here to serve them? And our relationship with you is not as a client or a business relationship. This is a relationship based on brotherhood. We would like to come out of poverty through Qarz-e Hasan so that you can start a business and actualize your own potential. The third is, it is further to reduce cost that we have introduced a spirit of volunteerism. Our employees are also volunteer in the sense that they work 60 hours a week, but they take salary for the 40 hours. And above that, we have built a cadre of around 10,000, even more than that, volunteers who help us, our staff, who raise funds, who mobilize the resources, who provide some kind of training to the staff, to the borrowers. So we see that every civil society organization should be a blend of necessary compensation and volunteerism. Otherwise, it is just a business. So we don't want to do business with the poor because poverty cannot be eliminated by market forces only. The fourth is that we are inspiring our borrowers that, look, today we have given you interest-free loan. And this is the manifestation of love. So once you are out of poverty, we will also like to see you supporting somebody else, giving similar loan to somebody else. This is, as we claim that we are creating a virtuous cycle parallel to the, vicious cycle. So if somebody does well to me, then I will be bound to do good with somebody else. So this is the virtuous cycle. By providing these interest-free loans, when a person is in the quagmire of poverty, this will ensure him or her that, look, there is someone to take care of me. And ultimately, I have to create a reciprocal economy. And Ms. Anika Malik is very fond of saying this terminology, economy of reciprocity. So this is a society of reciprocity, an economy of reciprocity, that you love me, I will love you. And we believe that if you seed, a crop of roses, you will harvest roses. So if we are, sacrificing and sharing our love with the poor, so ultimately we will be able to, create a world where we will all can lead a very happy and prosperous life. So the next, innovation is the non-discrimination on the basis of caste, color, or creed. Here I would like to take back to, the original concept of Ukhuwat, that we derive inspiration from the Islamic spirit of Muwakhat, the tradition of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, when he established this bond of love and, sharing between haves and have-nots, the people living in Medina and the people migrating from Makkah. So the original philosophy is borrowed from Islamic spirit of Muwakhat, but the message is for the entire humankind. When we say that our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, is Rahmatul lil Alameen, so we don't confine him to Muslimin only. So the whole philosophy of Ukhuwat is a philosophy of the mankind, philosophy for the humanity, and there is no discrimination on caste, color, creed, religion, faith, gender, etc. And then is the inclusive approach, and it means we, proactively try to find people who are outside the frontiers, outside the, core. So the people who are at the margins, the, transgenders, the disabled, the physically challenged people, all those are, actively brought within this system. And we have very big programs for disabled people, for transgenders, for people living in war-torn areas, people, suffering from calamities and things like that. So in a sense, the basic approach for a ukhuwat is not just giving loans. Giving loans or financial inclusion or microfinance is just a means to achieve an end. And the end is a better world, a beautiful world, a world where everybody is happy. So we adopt the policy of financial inclusion to, create that kind of a society which is for all and which serves all. So this is the, very brief description of how we have found the answers to the challenges of conventional microfinance, and this will give you a clear picture that how we are different from others. If you allow me, I can, Anika, I would like to share you a brief video, because that will explain the whole process. This is, 8 years old video. The figures are old, but the process and the program is the same.
Saima Sheikh runs this school for poor children from a 2-room apartment in Lahore. The 33-year-old mother is one of the thousands of Pakistani women who started small businesses with interest-free loans that abide by Islamic law or Sharia. In Islam, paying or charging interest is forbidden because it's believed to promote injustice and inequality in society. Islamic microfinance institutions provide loans through different arrangements that eliminate interest, such as profit and loss sharing or lending with small charges to cover administrative costs. Saima used microfinance outlet Ukhuwat, which has provided Sharia-compliant financial services to more than 1 million poor households in Pakistan. Saima was 22 years old when she was married to her cousin by her parents. 2 years later, when she was pregnant with her second child, she says her husband abandoned her and her 1-year-old daughter.
Circumstances तो very worst थे. Being a mother, अब 2 बच्चों का साथ भी था मेरे, और बेटा जो था after 4 month deliver हुआ था, तो उसमें मेरे husband जब गए हैं मुझे छोड़ के, तो debt भी था, कोई 80,000 का debt था, और बच्चे भी साथ थे, तो ये सारे circumstances मेरे हालात मेरे काबू से बिल्कुल बाहर थे.
After struggling to repay a debt with traditional microloans, Saima borrowed around $100 from Ukhuwat to start Al Fatima Academy, a school for poor children in her neighborhood. Today, Saima is teaching English, mathematics and sciences to more than 40 students here.
Being a Muslim, हम शरीयत जो है ना हमें एक लिमिट देती है, उस दायरे के अंदर रहकर हमने अपनी लाइफ को स्पेंड करना है. मेरा तो ज़हन इस चीज़ पे मुतमईन होता है कि जो इस लिमिट में रह के काम किया जाए वो बेहतर है, जिससे अल्लाह और अल्लाह का रसूल खुश रहें, हमसे राज़ी रहें. जो सबसे मेन बात है इस लोन की, उसमें यह है कि ये विदाउट इंटरेस्ट है और कोई बैंक की कटौती नहीं होती है. जो इंश्योरेंस की फ़ीस ली जाती है, बाकी फ्रांसिस जो हैं उसमें 1500, 2000 लोन के हिसाब से चल रहा होता है. यहाँ बहुत कम इंश्योरेंस की फ़ीस ली जाती है. बस ये बहुत से फ़ायदे हैं. Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Peshawar, Quetta, and Muzaffarabad.
With her monthly income of around $200, she's able to provide for her family. She also was able to borrow more money from Akuvat.
जब मैं चलती हूँ मुझे बिल्कुल बड़ा फील कर रही होती हूँ कि मैं कुछ हूँ, मैं उस टीचर हूँ. ये मेरी पर्ची मैंने किस जमा करवानी है 2050 450
Microfinance companies, including Akuvat, have seen increasing popularity in recent years. But the services they offer are still new and reach less than 20% of Pakistani families that need them. Akuvat's interest-free model also makes it run a tight operation. Its average loan amount of 25,000 rupees or $240 is 30% smaller than some other microfinance organizations in Pakistan. The growth and sustainability of Akuvat's Sharia-based microfinance model also depends on steady donations from both the state and the private sector because the organization collects minimal fee from borrowers. Akuvat charges a loan application fee of about $2 and a 1% insurance fee, which amounts to $2.30 for the average loan amount. It also encourages borrowers to donate money to help facilitate more loans.
If we want to upscale Sharia compliant finance, then the role of State Bank and role of the state are very, very critical. So without that, you cannot give a real impetus to this.
Pakistan's government is taking note. With a majority of Muslim population, the success of religious lending is expected to become bigger in the coming years.
मेरा नाम सिबिया बेगम है. मेरी उम्र 58 साल है. टेलरिंग का काम है. मैं सिलाई करती हूँ. उसी से मेरी गुजर बसर है. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मेरा बहुत अच्छा काम चलता है.
Ms. Begum borrowed around $300 this year to buy more cloth for her tailoring business. She says she will pay the remaining amount of $70 in the next 3 months.
तो वो सूद वाले में जितने भी मिल जाए तो उसमें बरकत तो कोई नहीं है और ना मज़ा आता खर्च करने में. जिस भी मकसद के लिए लिया मेरा वो मकसद पूरा हुआ. मैंने अगर मकान के लिए लिया अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं मकान छुड़ा सके इजीली.
Like Sabiha Begum, Akuvat's trustworthy clients have already started receiving bigger loans. But once clients are successful in repaying a small loan, they start qualifying for bigger ones. Saima plans to apply for another loan from Akuvat to buy more furniture and blackboards for her school. Out of the $400 she borrowed 5 months ago, she has already repaid $100. She says now she has also started helping others by donating some of her own money through Akuvat.
इसका सिस्टम ये है कि हमने 5 रुपीज़ अपने जहन के मुताबिक डेली अपने सेविंग करनी है, तो ताकि हम भी कुछ ऐसा कंट्रीब्यूशन हमारा भी हो जाए कि चलो जो ये पैसे जा रहे हैं किसी और के भी काम आ जाए.
Yeah. So that was a very, it's an old 7-8 years old video, but it explains the challenge, the process, and how we are working. So very briefly, 1 or 2 more slides that what have we done so far, where we have reached. As we started this program with a few thousand rupees, now the total loans which we have dispersed is more than 4.3 million. And these 4.3 million loans are distributed to around 3 million families, because our loan goes to a family and maybe one family gets second or third loan. So the families served is 3 million and loans served are 4 million throughout Pakistan in all provinces. Pakistan is a big country with around 200 million population. So, right from the peaks of Himalayas to the shores of Arabian Sea, we are serving people. We have disbursed so far 122 billion rupees, and this is around 800 billion US dollars. And we work through 822 branches. One branch comprises of 4 loan officers and one branch manager, and it covers a specific area. And we are working in around 300 cities. We give loans to the family, but whosoever is skillful within the family, he can start a business. So 58% loans are utilized by males, and 42% loans are utilized by female. The current outstanding is 18 plus billion, and 4,000 staff that is actively involved in day-to-day business. So this is the progress report that we started our lending program in 2001, and that was the first loan given to a woman who refused to surrender and who was so eager to build her own life after the death of her husband that he took a loan of $100 rupees and then returned that $100 within 6 months. So that was the first drop in the ocean, and we picked and mustered the courage to reach at this level. So this slide slightly is different one. It shows that during initial 10 years, we were just confined to the donations from the civil society, but subsequently the state, which is the custodian of most of the resources, also came into the forefront, and they offered partnership with to a Hoover, and now currently we are running the biggest public-private partnership, and all provinces of Pakistan, Punjab, Sindh, KP, Balochistan, and then the Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. So the governments there have provided us funds, and we are the custodian of those funds. And the government also gives us the operational cost, which is around 7% of the disbursed amount, and we transfer those. The principles are the same: interest-free relationship with the mosque, and then of course the spirit of volunteerism and converting borrowers into donors. So this slide shows that a program which was started as a initially as a public as a civil society organization, but gradually we took it to the scale with the help of state, and we were able to convince the state that instead of giving doles and charities, it is better to engage in some kind of partnership with the poor people, where we create a revolving fund and start giving loans and getting it back. Since our recovery is, alhamdulillah, 99%, so that means there is absolutely no default and there is no loss to the original capital. The conclusion, I leave it to you. Instead of me giving a conclusion, it is you to give a conclusion that whether the financial inclusion is important, number one. Number two, whether we should come up with a creative approach to serve the Muslims and the poor people without interest and without these heavy service charges. And then, of course, if a program which starts on philanthropic objectives, on altruistic objectives, why can't it reach to scale? The most important question I am asked is that your program is not sustainable. So I tell them that if a business is sustainable, then why not philanthropy is sustainable? So if there is a vicious cycle, why can't there be a virtuous cycle? And of course, this is the clear manifestation that the program, which was started with the mere few $100, has reached $800 million plus dollars. So the sustainability of such a program cannot be compared to the economic principles or the market principles, which are based on cutthroat competition. We instead rely on giving. We rely on sharing. We rely on brotherhood and sisterhood. So we cannot, leave this world in the hands of capitalism and the market economy. Because if the capitalism and market economy is the solution, then why 2 billion people are living in less than $2 a day? So we need to create a system which is not charity, but which is mawakha, which is solidarity, which is sharing, which is, which leads us to the middle way. So one side is charity, another side is exploitation and, interest. So we, following the tradition of Holy Prophet, that why don't we treat the poor and less privileged as our brothers and sisters? So why can't we help them through Qarz-e-Hasan? If as a brother, as a sister, I give loan and I take a loan, why can't we see the poor people as our brethren, or our sisters and brothers? So this is a new, product, Qarz-e-Hasan. We haven't, we haven't invented Qarz-e-Hasan. We have just, taken this individual practice of Qarz-e-Hasan to scale. That is the, success of Akhuwat, that we have institutionalized this concept of Qarz-e-Hasan and introduced in the Islamic finance, Qarz-e-Hasan model for the first time to be, displayed on such a larger scale. So this is what we have done. Much is to be done. Akhuwat, alhamdulillah, is the largest program, interest-free program in the world, and it is studied as a model in Oxford, Cambridge, and Harvard. And the echo of this spirit of brotherhood is resonating the world over. Ms. Anika Malk has taken it to many, educational institutions. She has also written a book on it, and many people are now familiar. My brother Jamil Abbas is also a great supporter of Akhuwat, and I visited Indonesia, and he truly appreciated. I would like to remind him that he promised me to come to Pakistan, and still we are waiting for him. So that concludes my presentation, and thank you very much again for inviting. And I will be willing to, listen to the questions. And the model presented by Brother Jamil is also very innovative and very useful. So we will be happy to learn from him as well.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you. I was going to ask you questions, but I think now we can continue with the second presentation, because I think we might be running out of time, and in between we can ask questions. So the second model, in comparison to what Dr. Amjad Saqib has presented, is the second model is of Baitul Mal Mina, which is BMT. BMT creates synergies between Islamic social finance and Islamic commercial finance. BMT is Indonesia's unique and effective model of Islamic microfinance. In comparison to Akhuwat, BMT uses a combination of social and commercial strategies, which has been successful in providing access to finance for the poorest of the poor in Indonesia. But before we start Jamil to present, let me just quickly introduce him. He's a finance professional with more than 20 years of experience in previous industries. Since 2013, he has been focusing on Islamic finance, especially Islamic microfinance, fintech, and social enterprise. And Jamil is now holding the position of Deputy Director, Islamic Financial Inclusion at KENGS, which is National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance, a special government body of the Republic of Indonesia, directly chaired by the President and the Vice President of Indonesia, with a mandate to speed up the development of Islamic economy and finance of the country. Previously, he was a general manager at PMBT, Indonesia, one of the largest Islamic microfinance groups in the world. Jamil is also actively promoting and developing Islamic finance as an impactful solution for poverty alleviation and welfare improvement. With his colleagues at Kanks, Jamil is now developing the concept of collaboration-based Islamic financial services in order to optimize synergies among stakeholders of Islamic finance for greater acceleration of Islamic financial inclusion in Indonesia. So welcome, Ustad Jamil. Let me just share your presentation here.
Yeah, so today, as promised, I will share about BMT models, Indonesia's Islamic microfinance model, something which we have been operating for almost 30 years by now. I think everybody in Indonesia agree that the first BMT was at the end of late 80s or early 90s. So now we have been doing BMT in Indonesia for almost 30 years. And now we have more than 3,000 BMT institutions in Indonesia. And maybe some countries start adopting the BMT model as well. So BMT in this case stands for Baitul Mal Tamwil, which is roughly translated as House of Social and Business. So the BMT model can be explained in this very simple diagram. So BMT is like a house with two pillars, Mal and Tamwil. Mal is the word we use to handle Islamic social finance, and Tamwil is the division which handles Islamic commercial finance. So under Islamic social finance, we are dealing with what we call ZISWAF, Zakat, Infaq, Shadaqah, Waqf, and also donation and general CSR. Then under commercial finance, we are dealing with the commercial funds that we know, I mean, mostly from the bank, investment from members, or direct investment from investors. So with BMT, we believe that the true beauty of Islamic finance will come if we can create synergies among both social finance and commercial finance. We believe one of the main differences between Islamic finance and conventional finance or capitalist finance is the existence of social finance, or in this case, famous as the ZISWAF, Zakat, Infaq, Shadaqah, Waqf. If we only focus on commercial finance, it is unlikely we can really show the world about the difference between Islamic finance and the conventional finance, or the beauty of Islamic finance. So the true beauty, because in Islamic finance, social finance is really part of the finance itself. Yeah, so we really need to take it seriously. And I guess that is also the main idea from Ahwat, where they focus on Islamic social finance, and they can be one of the largest Qadul Hasan provider in the world. But with the BMT model, we hope, by creating synergies between Islamic social finance and Islamic commercial finance, we can provide impactful solution to empower the society. So this is I think one of the benefit of having both pillars under one roof. Usually the ordinary microfinance, they only talk about commercial finance. As a consequence, they can only serve the segment which is ready to accept commercial finance. So commercial finance is totally not suitable for the bottom of the pyramid. Islamic finance is not the knowledge created by ordinary human being. For us, Islamic finance is really knowledge coming from the smartest, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So certainly, Islamic finance is really perfect for the humankind, for everybody on earth. Islam rahmatan lil alamin. So that's why in Islamic finance we have zakat, infaq, sadaqah, zakat, infaq, and sadaqah, because that's the way to properly help poorest of the poor. So with zakat handled by our Baitul Mal, we can provide grant for the one who deserve it. And that would be a great start for them. And then after that, they can, when they become better, stronger, we can go to the next one, which is non-commercial financing, or in Islamic finance, we know it as Qadul Hasan. And then after that, when they grow, of course, Islamic finance is about being fair. When the beneficiaries are strong enough, they should also start sharing. So in this case, commercial finance is becoming relevant in this case. And talking about commercial finance, the sky is the limit, because what we want with BMT is not just helping people to survive, but we really want to improve their life. We want the poor to stop being poor. We want the mustahik, the zakat receiver, to be the zakat payer, and we want the rich to be richer in order to be more helpful for the others. So BMT is about improving about welfare improvement, poverty alleviation, not just helping the poor to stay to survive. But also, we have to admit that there is another reason why we need to have this Baitul Tamwil. It is good if because Indonesia is a very big country, so every places have their own unique situation. Unfortunately, while it is social finance is so beautiful, but in many places, people cannot really rely on the availability of social finance in their own area. So that's why we need to combine at the start with commercial finance as well. So commercial finance is not just to provide financing for the one who is ready for it, but it's also the way for BMT to survive. BMT in general is not established by large organization, by IDB, by World Bank, or by multinational foundation. BMT was founded, was established, was developed by the local people itself. So, and in many cases, they really have to rely on themselves. So that's why BMT need to have some commercial aspect in order to survive, to cover the operation, and to grow, to be in order to be more helpful for the society. So there are several. I mean, because of the limitation of time, I will just focus on several unique points about BMT. So BMT is from the intention is actually not a microfinance institution, but BMT is an institution which want to empower people, because the way to help the people sustainably, I mean, to really make the difference by empower them in order to improve their welfare. And one of the things that BMT can do and must do at the time until now is providing the right financial service for the beneficiaries. Without the right financial service, it is very, very difficult to talk about poverty alleviation and welfare improvement. And what I underline here is the right financial service. Meaning, because right now, if you notice, I'm not sure about what happened outside Indonesia. Even in Indonesia, we have what we call the wrong financial service, which is the loan shark. Yeah, and now the loan shark is even worse because of the digital technology. Now we have the online loan shark. So they are killing people with the interest rate of can be 1% per day, not 1% per month or 1% per year. So 1% per day, which is equivalent to 300% per year. So this is what an example of wrong financial service. And also for the Muslim, the religion clearly teach us that there is the right is not just decided by the human. I mean, what is right is already taught by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala about how we should do how we should do financing activities. So that's why being right is not just about being cheap, but also doing it properly with the right akad, or in short is by providing Islamic financial services. And also being right in this case is when you are serving big customer, then you can be like a bank. I mean, we can use the normal banking activities. But when we are serving the poorest of the poor, we are serving the micro segment, or what people call unbankable people, then we must provide the right service by not providing banking style services, but the unique one, or what is called as microfinance now. And BMT again is about creating synergies between Islamic social finance and Islamic commercial finance, which I will later explain on some beautiful forms of those synergy. So the BMT try to improve welfare of the people by, sustainably. So the way to do it is not by giving donation all the time, but we want to develop the community to be productive and prosperous. I mean, the way for the people, especially in Indonesia, to be productive, to be prosperous is they have to be productive. And that's what BMT is trying to do. And BMT is about independent movement of the people. The BMT was founded by the community itself. So it is it's a form of sustainable by the self-reliance of the society. So from us, for us, by us. So from the people, not from someone else for someone else. And especially for a big country like Indonesia, where every place is so unique. I mean, we have 5 big islands and 1,000 smaller islands, and even in this big island, the situation is very different from one place to the other. Every BMT is unique because what we want to do in order to make the community productive is by optimizing the local strength. In order to do so, we really have to understand the local wisdom. So that's why in Indonesia, the way we provide BMT services is not through one giant organization, but we have thousands of BMT institutions because every BMT, they can focus on their community, optimizing the local wisdom and the local strength. So this is just an example of providing the right financial service. So just a small thing, like talking about small micro businesses, small entrepreneurs. Usually they're just someone with a small shop. They have nobody working for them. So if they have to come to the bank in the long queue to deposit their money or to apply for loans, when they are in the bank, the business stops, no money coming in. So in order, since what we want is to help them to grow, the BMT provide what in the banking world we call as a platinum services. We send the officer to serve the client. So what we are sending there is not the debt collectors, but really financial officers serving them, handling their when they want to save money or when they want to get for loans, and also to provide consulting services for these customers. And because the BMT is not about just helping people to survive, but we want people to grow to be better. So capacity building is part of daily activities of the BMT. We provide training, consulting, and providing various non-finance solutions in order for our members, our customers to grow. So in short, although BMT right now is known as a Islamic microfinance institution, but what we have been doing so far, learning from the experience in the last almost 30 years, what we are doing is more than just providing financing. So this is one of the case where BMT is talking about helping people, helping them to grow. So this is about a case where the BMT tried to help few ladies in the remote villages. If they are without the proper job in their village, this lady have no choice but to leave their families and work overseas, as being migrant workers. So certainly it is not a beautiful life that any woman want to do. Nobody, no woman or even no man, no people on earth like to leave their family for years. So in order to help this lady to stay in the village, to be with the family, BMT not providing the loan because not many poor people, even we provide as much money as possible, they don't, many cases, they don't have the knowledge, experience, skills to develop a new business. So what BMT is doing is establishing a business and creating jobs. So based on our experience, actually a lot of poor people, they will be more than happy if they can just have a proper jobs, but that is also always the problem everywhere in the world, that there is never enough jobs on earth. So we combine with helping them to be entrepreneurs or creating jobs whenever possible. And here is the way BMT alleviate poverty, in many cases providing jobs, and also BMT try to create multiple impact. In this case, we are also providing solution for what we call growing village. So in Indonesia, we have initially the definition of urbanization is about people moving from village to the city. But now the definition of urbanization is a village becoming a city. So as a city, they have now many tall buildings which require certain maintenance facilities. BMT try to solve that problem. They establish maintenance company, including a cleaning service company with a modern technology. But actually, the main intention is to do poverty alleviation by providing good jobs for the poor in that village. So BMT is also trying to solve problems with garbage, because garbage management is still a problem in several places in Indonesia, and some environmental campaign. Then here, there's in the case where I think Dr. Amjad agreed that helping poor people is already difficult. But what BMT is trying to do here in this case is helping poor and disabled people. That is the double problem. It's very difficult, but that's what BMT, because of the spirit of helping, then that's what they do. And because of having Baitul Mal and Tamwil, they have social funds, and then with a commercial approach, they establish social enterprise special to provide jobs for poor and disabled people. I mean, this is another form of poverty alleviation. And here, some initiative by my friends BMT in the city of Yogyakarta. As mentioned before, providing capital in many cases is irrelevant for many poor families. They don't have the capacity, they don't have the knowledge, skill, experience, and network to create and develop business. But many people, the poor people in Indonesia, they are willing to work hard. So the BMT in Jogja, they changed the way they help people. They stopped providing financing, but they use the Zakat, Infaq, Shadaqah money to create a business. So what they give to the poor families is not a cash, but a business package, together with the training, together with the network, and everything they need. So all this poor family must do is just work as hard as possible, running your own business. And Alhamdulillah, with this project, we can proudly say that we are not just helping the poor to survive, but we help them to stop being poor. Because usually in less than 6 months, these poor families who had nothing, now they are making monthly income of minimum wage or even double minimum wage. And the way for poverty alleviation, we are not just talking about poor adults. I mean, we want, if say the parent is poor, we want the children to have a better life. So BMT is also trying to help the children of poor families with good education. I think like in Indonesia, English is still an issue. I mean, English is very important. With English, it opens opportunities for better education, better business, better job opportunities, but it is still an issue in Indonesia. So there's a BMT established an English center in a very remote poor village in order to make sure that today's poor children, they become prosperous adults later. And BMT is not about just economic. It's really want to improve people's life. So in Indonesia, we are still having shortage on hospital, but because of the BMT's ability in creating synergies of social finance and commercial finance, now few BMT, Alhamdulillah, has established big, modern, but very affordable hospitals. Why the hospital is cheap and affordable is because there's a large component of Islamic finance there. It started with Waqf land, and then Waqf cash and Infaq, Shadaqah, and then combined with commercial financing, and there we go. We have this beautiful hospital, but not expensive. Not only one BMT can do it, but several BMT already doing it. So now when you come to Indonesia, you can see some beautiful hospitals and clinics that happens because of the ability of BMT to create synergies among Islamic social finance and Islamic commercial finance. So in summary, BMT is about being independent. So this is a model which is designed to be very simple. So anyone with good intention can do. For almost 30 years, we have a lot of good examples that ordinary people, you don't need PhD certainly to run the BMT. A lot of big BMTs now was really founded by ordinary young men with degree or even without degree, but they are very good Muslim. They are honest. They have a persistent to do it. I mean, BMT is a simple model, but it requires a lot of sacrifice to have it. Like now from some big beautiful BMT that we see here, the founders, they didn't take any salaries during the first few years of their BMTs. And BMT is talking about making sustainable changes. So the keyword is empowering, not just simple donation, because donation is like trying to empty an ocean. And the way we can really empower the people is by focusing on the local strength and resources, especially for big countries. I think all big countries in the world, the situation is very different from one city to the other city, or even from one village to the other village. So we need an institution which focuses, which fully understand the local strength and resources. And again, let me repeat again and again, because that is the most important thing for, I'm talking about Islamic finance, is the true Islamic finance, the one that is different with the ordinary or conventional finance, is the one who can create synergies between social finance and commercial finance. Because social finance is a compulsory component in Islamic finance in general. So I will end my presentation with this, my favorite cartoon. Yeah, so in short, BMT is not a financial institution per se. So it's a institution which want to help people, and the way to do it, one of what they do is providing the right financial services. I mean, I hope you get this point. Yeah. So this is not about the bank trying to find a market for them to make money to grow, but it's an organization which want to help the people, and then with that intention, they provide the right financial services. And BMT is not about an office where the poor will go, but BMT should be the vehicle for every member of the society to work together to improve the prosperity. Because in order to help the poor, then we really need to have the rich, the strong, to be part of the movement. So if we only have the group of poor people, who can help them then in this case? Yeah, of course we have the government, but we need the participation of everybody to really do the effective poverty alleviation in the country. So BMT is about the creation of synergy between social and business movement, which is based on self-reliance of the society. And one more thing is, for us in the BMT network, we strongly believe that the best microfinance institution is the one owned by yourself. You can use anyone's model, but the institution must be owned by yourself, because the successful microfinance needs a strong sense of belonging. So that's why for us, the BMT, we don't want to open branches in other countries. I mean, if you like BMT model, please establish yourself. We are not going to open our branches there, but we will be more than happy to share our knowledge, so you can learn. You don't need to start from the scratch. You can learn from our experience, and you can establish your BMT in your respective countries faster, with lower cost, lower risk, less mistake. Yeah. So again, the best microfinance institution is the one owned by yourself. The model can be from anywhere. You can use Aqua, you can use BMT, or few other models that is quite known in the world now. But you must have it by yourself. Put your best resources, best effort there. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll return this to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Brother Jamil. Is Dr. Saqib still there? I'm just checking. Okay, fabulous. This was so inspirational. I've got so many questions here, but I'll just quickly sum it up for everybody, because what stands out for me from these two presentations is that communities could generate their own self-sufficiency by coming together. I mean, we've shown two examples, very sound examples, successful examples as well. And as Brother Jamil very rightly said, and I've heard Dr. Saqib saying it many times, that you can start your own akhwat, you can start your own BMT. So these are the tools, and these are solutions for poverty alleviation. And also, I know that term microfinance is being used, and I'm very averse to using this term, Dr. Saqib knows, but when we say Islamic microfinance, it basically is not a business model. It is for empowering those or bringing those into the fold who are outside of this, who are on the periphery of the society, and how can they play their role? It is not a business model, but rather it creates a just and equitable society, just as Islamic finance, Maqasid Sharia says, it starts with creating a just society, equitable and just society. So I think I'll take questions now. I'll open mic and you can ask questions directly to our very esteemed guest. But just quickly, one thing I would ask maybe both of you, because it could be a new term, Infaq. I know Akhwat also uses Infaq. Akhwat has 5 principles, which are Iman, Ikhlas, Ihsan, Infaq. So I've seen in Brother Jamil's presentation, there's Waqf mentioned, Infaq, Sadaqah. We all know about Zakat and Sadaqah. Maybe we can expand a little on Infaq. What does it mean and how can it be used, an effective tool maybe? Not a tool, it's a concept basically. So can you please, any one of you can take this?
Dr. Abjad, you want to start or should I start?
Sorry, you are on mute, Oksab.
Yeah, please start, brother.
Okay, yeah, my understanding about the meaning of infaq, I mean, in Islam, we have various type of donation. I mean, Islam is so beautiful, the knowledge is so comprehensive. We have various type of donation and every type has their own regulation. So zakat, we know the regulation related to it. Infaq is another type of donation, which is, what do you call we can use it freely. The regulation related to it is not as limited as zakat. So Infaq is playing important role in microfinance because some ulama says that zakat we can only give, but we must not use zakat money to lend it to be provided as loan. But Infaq, that is a donation where we can freely use it as long as it is for good intention. And with Infaq, the money coming in the form of Infaq, we can use it as a loan or even on to do it on many good things.
Yeah.
So am I correct, Dr. Amjad?
That's fine. But a very slight change. We see Infaq as an umbrella concept. This is giving in way of Allah. So Infaq is an umbrella concept, and under this, one pillar is zakat, which is tied with some restrictions. One pillar is sadaqat, which can be used wherever you like. One pillar is khairat, which is only the charity. So all these things, then fitrana, for example, it is also a form of sadaqat. So infaq is a general concept. Yunfikun, whatever has been advised in the Holy Book. So giving, there could be many ways of giving. Because as it is mentioned in the Holy Book that Allah subhanahu says that they ask what to give in the way of Allah. So tell them that whatever is surplus with you. So then, this is a larger, an overarching concept. And zakat, as a brother has said, that there are restrictions, and some people say that it should be given forever and should not be taken back and revolved. But still there are some people that if they give zakat to an organization and the organization doesn't return back to the giver, it has, there is a possibility of interpretation that it could revolve this as Qarz Hasan. But of course, there are difference of opinion. But zakat otherwise could be utilized for education, for health, for permanent grants, things like that, for disabled, for other things. And then sadaqat and khairat and fitrana, these could be utilized to constitute a social, finance institution which gives loans, Qarz Hasan, and of course there is a possibility that you can cover the cost out of it, and but not more than that. So then there is another stream which could be ethical finance, or finance where a very genuine, a decent profit is taken, but that profit is also aimed at expansion of the program. So this could cover under Sharia compliant microfinance murabiha, musharika, mudariba, salam, etc. So these 3-4 variations, but Infaq for us is a general way of and thought of giving.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to open mic and I have one raised hand. But maybe also just to sum it up again, I know that people have asked question that how can Akhuwat then sustain itself? And I know this is a general question. You've been asked this question millions of times. How do you sustain yourself? Because if you're not charging interest, could you just briefly say something about that?
Anika, let me say that what is sustainability? Sustainability is the continuity of this program. So we started it 20 years ago with few thousand rupees, and now we have crossed 100 billion rupees. So what more stronger evidence of our sustainability will we give to you? Number one. Number two, our sustainability depends on two assumptions. If those assumptions are correct, then we will be sustainable for all times to come. If these two assumptions are not correct, then we will not be sustainable. And these assumptions are, number one, people want to give. Sadaqah, Infaq, Khairat, Zakat, etc., etc. People want to give. That means haves are willing to share their resources with have-nots. This is assumption number one. Because that will become the prime funding for the credit or revolving financial pool. Second assumption is that the poor, they are not willing to accept charity. They are willing to accept Qarz Hasan, and they are honest enough to return that money back to the Qarz Hasan pool so that it could be revolved and utilized for others. So these are two assumptions. And now this is for you to decide, for me to decide, for all our participants to decide that in whatever society they are living, are these two presumptions prevalent there? If they are, then they can start a small Akhuwat type program, or as Jameel Abbas brothers program, and they can start it. Absolutely no problem. Third requirement is, of course, a credible organization comprising of fully committed and professionally trained people. So if these three things are there, it is sustainable. We, according to the Western concepts and philosophy, we have concluded sustainability that all the costs should be transferred to the shoulders of the borrower. And if borrower is giving money back, then you are meeting your operational cost, you are meeting your financial cost, and then you are a sustainable organization, and then you will be sustainably serving the poor. We think on a different line. As you have rightly mentioned, this is an ethical finance. This is where you share your resources with have-nots. You are not here doing business with the people. This is not business. This is not an industry. This is an attempt to share your resources, to ensure financial inclusion, and to give this inspiration and motivation to the poor people that the whole society is standing with them, and they will give them sufficient amount of money to do a business. So basic philosophy is different. If you define sustainability that all the costs should be recovered from the borrower, that is the financial sustainability or the operational sustainability, then of course we are not sustainable. But if you think that society is willing to help these people and those people are also willing to help themselves, then we are sustainable. So this is the difference between sadaqah and solidarity and the mawakhat and the market economy. So you cannot judge Akhuwat's sustainability on the principles of economic sustainability. Where economics ends, the principles of mawakhat begin. because economics believes in self-interest, in competition, in growth, in making money, in profit. But here, in this case, we believe in sharing, in giving, and whatever, if we are losing something, somebody else is gaining. And this is how we are trying to build a society. And in fact, our loss is not the loss. In fact, this is the benefit for the whole society. So we cannot, evaluate the sustainability of our program in terms to conventional programs. So this is my brief answer.
Thank you. So there are no raised hands, but there is a question, I think, which is for Brother Jamil. And the question is, can't we have proper symbiosis between profit and charity in Islamic microfinance channels? I think this is what your presentation was about.
Sorry, so that's even the question that can we have profit and, can we do profit and charity under one roof?
Yes.
Yeah, that exactly. Again, we strongly believe that the Islamic finance concept is a very comprehensive concept. Lots of akats there. And we have commercial akad, we have commercial agreement, and we have social agreement. And both are good provided that you do it properly at the right context. So BMT, we make nice profit when we do business with strong entrepreneurs, strong micro, small enterprises. So when they Islamic finance is fairness for both. So if the business is profitable, then it should be shared. But if the business is losses, the risk should also be shared. So BMT with Baitul Mal Tamwil, the Tamwil focus on profit financing, profit-oriented financing. And in order to do so, we are dealing with the right one. We don't talk about profit when we help the poorest of the poor. With a very poor family, with a mustahik, with the zakat receiver. For those segment, we let the Baitul Mal division to do the job. And so far so good. And having both under one roof, when we said about improving, go to the next step, it is smoother than if you pass it to other institution. Just like in a school. Once you complete primary school, if you have a junior high school under one roof or under one organization, it's easy to go to the next step. Yeah. But if you pass it to the other school, then the other school will ask for another set of entry examination, that kind of thing. Yeah. So as long, it's like finance, we have various akad for both social and commercial for profit. So as long as we do it properly, correctly, with the right people, with the right what beneficiaries, it should be no problem. Even we are doing it for. Most of the BMT, because it's becoming a big organization because of the profit that they make. But because of it is applying Islamic finance, when BMT is making nice profit, the borrowers or the customers are making much bigger profit.
Thank you. I think what the takeaway from
profit without feeling guilty.
Yes, I think the takeaway from this for everybody should be that we are giving everybody an opportunity, thanks to TAIF, that these are the concepts. So you understand the basic concept. Then you can be as creative as Ahud has been or BMT has been, according to your own community's needs, and because it does differ from every context is different, every community's context is different, every community's needs are different. So you can adjust or you can create your own Ahud kind of solution or BMT solution. So we are introducing the concept by presenting these two models, the concepts of Infaq, concept of Baitul Mal, how Karde Hasan could be very creatively used for communities' betterment. And Dr. Saqib has something to say here. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just seeing a question addressed to me, number one. And number two, I would like to endorse what you are saying. Islam gives us some fundamental principles. It does not give us a system. We have to develop or create a system in every age, according to the political, social, technological, environmental milieu. So in this, today's system might be different from 200 years before, or maybe different from which will be, offering the solutions 200 years later on.
Yes.
So this system, what does Islam say with reference to the financial system? Equality, equitable distribution of resources, then creation of wealth through halal means. So these are the few things. Then how through business, through distribution of resources, inheritance, zakat, sadaqah, Infaq, all those things. So if you take all these principles and then, link them with the current social and political conditions, and you learn from the conventional banking, and you marry all these things through technology, you can create a system which is according to the Sharia. So we have done nothing. We have done, taken the tradition and then experimented that how can it be done at a larger scale. The same is the case in Indonesia. So all these things, the primary thing is the basic philosophy embedded in Islamic economic system, and then current practices, and then intelligently interplaying with those and creating a model which is suitable to the political, social context of the age. And here comes the innovation, and every society should create its own model. Something which is good in the villages of Pakistan might not be good in the cities of Indonesia, or might not be, practicable in Sudan or Nigeria or Africa.
True.
So we should see all those things. And the question which was addressed to Hukumat was, are we present in all 4 provinces? Yes, we are working in all 4 provinces. We are working in Azad Kashmir. We are working in Gilgit-Baltistan, and we are even working in the formerly tribal areas which are now merged in the KP. So we are everywhere, and at around 300 cities we have our active offices.
Sorry, we have some raised hands. Maybe we can take this from our attendees. Alam Asadov, can you just unmute yourself and ask the question, please? Alam?
I'm Ashraf from...
Assalamu alaikum, Alam. You can unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, my question is to Dr. Amjad Saqib. It's about your program. You mentioned as your sources as donations, but have you used Qarz al-Hasan like deposits as a donations, or is it possibility? Because we are thinking of implementing such program in different country, but maybe donations may not be enough. So we are considering attracting some interest-free loans to the organization for that purpose. Have you used such things?
Brother Alam, this is a very, very, very important question. That how can we increase the size of the revolving fund, either only through donations or through Qarz Hasan to us, so that we can also transfer this to the borrower as Qarz Hasan. Currently, we are 95% relying on donations. Actually, as per our legal requirements, we are registered with Securities Exchange Commission of Pakistan, so we don't have the license of getting deposits. But if we get a license from the regulator to receive the Qarz Hasan or deposits, then of course we can do that. So I will advise you that this is extremely possible. Both dimensions should be adopted. You can also rely on funding as a permanent grant, And you can also initiate a process of inspiring people to give you deposits free of cost, free of profit. For example, somebody gives you 100,000 rupees or dollars, and you are in agreement that you will be liable to pay that amount after 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, or in installments. But for that to happen, you must have license from the central bank of your country. So if you can do that, that will be another step forward to promote the Qarz Hasan. So I will strongly advise and recommend that you must think over it. We are also now thinking over it, and we are also going to apply to the Central Bank and Securities Commission to give us the license or the permission to raise money through deposits.
Ustaz Jamil, you have something to add here? Because I see that you also offer Qarz Hasan in BMT.
Yeah, I mean, if the question whether we are accepting Qardul Hasan from other institutions and provide it as a Qardul Hasan to others, yeah, I think we do, although it is not majority of the component. Yeah, so most of the Qardul Hasan we provide is also coming from the donation, but we are now having growing Qardul Hasan from the other party, but the Qardul Hasan that BMT received from the other parties, sometimes it is provided as also Qardul Hasan for the borrowers, but also provided as like a cheap commercial financing as well. So depending on the request from the funders and also the beneficiaries that we should target.
Okay, let's take another question from Ashraful Haq. You can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Sorry, go on. Okay, let's move on to.
Okay, if I may add, talking about Qardul Hasan is actually quite complicated. I mean, certainly it is helpful if there is an organization willing or there's a funder willing to provide Qardul Hasan to a BMT. But one thing to be noted is to manage the Qardul Hasan, even if we provide Qardul Hasan to lots of beneficiaries, the poor people, to manage it, it requires cost. So if somebody provides Qardul Hasan, who's going to cover the operating cost? That would be the question of the day. That's why we need to combine with Baitul Mal with the commercial or getting other donors to cover the operating costs. Managing microfinance is not cheap. I think Dr. Amjad agree with it. I mean, it's not cheap, not easy.
Let's take another question with Omar Dawood.
Hello.
Okay, we have Ashraful Haq back. Yes, please go on.
Okay. My question is that the NPA or non-performing asset is one of the very biggest issue in banking sector and all kind of sector. My question is that in microfinance, how you are dealing with NPA, non-performing asset or bad loan, this kind of thing. Hello.
I couldn't hear you properly, but I think you were asking about bad loans, as in how do you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bad loans or non-performing asset.
Right. Okay. So any one of you can take this question. I think he's asking, how do you then manage? Because do you offer insurance? Well, I think I saw it in Dr. Amjad Saqib's presentation. There is a small charge or fee for insurance. And Ustad Jamil, you can take this question as well. Whoever.
Yeah, Anika, the first thing is that fortunately, our loan loss is extremely minimal. Our recovery percentage right from the day one has hovered around 99 plus. We keep 3% as loan loss reserve, but recovery is, alhamdulillah, so good. We also have an optional provision for insurance, and that is not for the loss of business. That is in case of death or permanent disability. We waive off the loan, and if that person has insured himself, so that amount is taken out from that insurance pool. So default is there. Of course, it's a microfinance, as Brother Jamil is saying. It's not a easy thing to do. It involves a lot of effort. It involves a lot of resources. It involves a lot of threats and issues. So, but the point is, what are your intentions? What are your ultimate objectives? And how are you going to present your model? Are you telling people that we are here to give you loan? Or you are telling people that no, we are here to establish a bond of love with you, and loan is a byproduct. Loan is a means to achieve the ultimate end. So this is extremely important. Whether you see it as an industry or a business, in that case, it is the end. But if you see not as an industry, you see it as a means to empower the whole society, then it becomes a means. So this will ultimately result into the nature of your relationship and engagement with the borrower. So the borrower family, if he or she gets this impression that there is somebody who's doing business, so their relationship will be based on the business thoughts. But if you are engaging with them through a spirit like mawakhat or brotherhood or love and compassion, then they will not see you as a person or an institution which is doing business. They will see you as a friend. They will see you as an institution which is extremely engaged or concerned with their welfare. So everything is determined. In Islam, everything is determined by your niyat, by your intentions. So actions speak louder than words. So your intention is clear, your process is clear, and you are proven again and again that we are here to, support you, not as a benefactor. We are here to support you as a friend.
Yeah.
People shouldn't be, given doles and charities. They should be given a feeling of friendship where they can do. They should do their own work. You are just removing the bottlenecks, from the way.
Brother Jamil, you want to add something?
Yeah. Okay, so the question, if I'm not mistaken, is about how do we manage our non-NPF, non-performing financing, how to keep it low. Yeah, so the number one is we are doing the real KYC, know your customers, which I believe is more than banks KYC. Our KYC is really knowing the person, not only the person, if necessary, we know who your parents are, who are your grandfather, because we are in the same village, we're in the same community society. So we really need to know who you are. And that is also in accordance to Islamic teaching. I mean, if you maintain your reputation, then you can get financing, you can get the trust for people. But if you are not maintaining your reputation, then BMT is not going to help you, although you're very poor, because we have amanah that we need to maintain. So we focus on helping the good poor people. Not that, if you are bad, you are not trustable, then we cannot help you. So first, we are really doing KYC, or as Dr. Amjad said just now, we're becoming friends. So the relationship is between friends. So yeah, until now, they don't see us as bank officers or financial officers. So we are doing the true KYC in this case. And then when the amount is quite large, usually when it is more than 300 USD, then we are asking for collateral. Below 300 USD, we take the risk. Provided you have a good character, you have a good reputation, then we take the risk because you deserve it. You are very poor in this case, so you deserve some help, some special treatment. And in Indonesia now, we do have a insurance company for that kind of thing. We start using it for the larger amount, but not on everything. And also, I would like to remind everyone on one interesting fact about managing Qardul Hasan. Right now, our situation is for Qardul Hasan, not for donation. Qardul Hasan, we need to make sure the money comes back. Zero NPF in this case. What the situation now, we have too much money, but we don't have enough operators. So it's difficult to run Qardul Hasan. We need more people to do it, not more money. Money is there. A lot of people willing to provide the cash, but having institution who can run it, that is now the biggest problem.
I think that is the main essence of today's webinar as well, that we need to understand the spirit and the concept behind it. So as you rightly said, and I've heard Dr. Saqib saying this so many times, that there is money. People have this, there is compassion in the community. And whenever somebody asks, people always donate or give of their abundance. So this is a beautiful message, or maybe one takeaway from this webinar. Shall we take next question?
Sorry, just the package. We remember in my presentation, we have give a business, not give money. There is a long queue for it. Long queue of donators, not long queue of beneficiaries.
Yes, I think in Ahud's model, because I've worked almost like 4 years with them, is that how do you mobilize communities? I mean, that is the challenge. Otherwise, people have skills in the community, people have resources within the community, but it's always like they need someone to handhold or be the guardian, and then you can mobilize a community. Okay, let's take another question. I'm going to ask Omar Daud to unmute himself, maybe, and ask his question. You've been waiting for long. Omar, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, salam alaikum.
I'm there. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, I'm appreciated this program. It's very interesting. You know, we are in Nigeria. We have so many land and farming area, and then we don't have resources. We don't have mechanized farming. We don't have institute that they can help our local people who they can improve their microfinance and so many things that we want to have this program to pursue in our country. Like we have only 2 Islamic finance in Nigeria, Jaiz Bank and then Taj Bank. So those the only Islamic finance, they can help our people in Nigeria. And then majority of Nigeria, they are Muslims, most especially in the northern Nigeria. And then we have so many lands, they can farming, they can have some microfinance. How can you help our people here? They can progress our own progress and the Islamic finance in Nigeria. Thank you.
May I answer this one?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Actually, at the end of last year, I went to Nigeria, to the state of Sokoto. We were invited to share our knowledge about the BMTs, and I realized that the situation is totally different. Totally different between Nigeria and Indonesia. So what I learned from my trip to Nigeria is, to confirm, we can help you to share the basic knowledge, the experience, but you need to finalize it with your own situation. So you cannot fully copy paste, say, BMT Indonesia and bring it to Nigeria, but you take the essence, you take the fundamental knowledge about what BMT is, then you apply it. But when you apply it, you need to modify it to make sure that it is relevant for your context. And in the case of BMT, Baitul Mal Tamwil, you don't need to make BMT straight away. You can start with Baitul Mal first or Baitul Tamwil first, depending on what you want, what the society preferred and the society willing to support. If somehow, for some reason, the community prefer to start with commercial, then you can start with Baitul Tamwil. But you need to always remember, at the end, the beauty of BMT is when you can combine Baitul Mal and Baitul Tamwil. But you can start from one side. You don't need to have both sides in the same time because it will be very, very difficult.
Dr. Saab, you have anything to? No? Okay. So I think I need to now wrap up. We have a lot of questions, and thank you everybody for so much interest into this very timely conversation, because we know that communities are suffering. Everybody's suffering nowadays, and this could be a good alternative. And these are good models that we can start from within our own communities, our own small circles even. The thing is that you need to have the spirit. You need to have a spirit like Dr. Amjad Saqib or Brother Jamil, who have literally dedicated their whole lives to this, this cause of serving communities. So it all starts from there. And then, as they've been saying, you need to engage with your community. I think it starts from there, because what I've learned from Akhuat or Dr. Saqib, and I think I've been trying to set up an Akhuat in England, say, for example, for 4 years. And it hasn't happened because I've sat through his circles when he's sitting on the floor with people within his community, and I've seen how he engages with people. I think it all starts from there, that you have that, that spirit of connecting with your community. And sorry, I'm very shamelessly promoting, but there is this book on Akhuat, which is available on Amazon. But if you want, I can send you the PDF as well, so you can read through the book and understand that we need to understand the concept first. We need to understand the spirit behind Karda Hassan, behind Muakhad, behind Baitul Mal, and how we can combine this, the social finance, with the commercial as well. So be creative, and rest assured, when, as Dr. Sab said, that when your niyyah is there, then the help comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It always does. So I think we should wrap up. Is that okay, Fahad?
Yeah. So that concludes our
1 minute,
webinar, inshallah.
1 minute to Anika, 1 minute to me, and 1 minute to Brother Jamil.
Sure. I was going to invite, but
thank you very much, TAIF Digital Institute. Thank you very much to your team, and of course to you and to all the participants. It was a great session, and I learned a lot. It reminded me, revised my lessons which I have learned from Brother Jamil in Cambodia and in Indonesia. And thank you very much for starting this dialogue at the right time. Involvement of the community, the finances cannot be, the objectives cannot be achieved unless we involve the community in it. So it was a great session, that having all the community lessons and other things. And you mentioned that shamelessly you're showing the book. You should be saying that very humbly and very proudly you are sharing the great work which you have done. And
Absolutely.
This is in fact a very trailblazing, effort, that you consolidated all those learnings and presented it to the whole world. So I congratulate you on that as well, and congratulate on the organizing this beautiful event. And I hope TAIF and you will continue to invite more people and sharing all these things, good things with them. Thank you very much, and over to Brother Jamil.
Thank you for sparing time.
Jazakallah, Dr. Sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, so happy to be part of this great event, and so happy to see Dr. Amjad again, to see him in a good health. And one thing I forgot to say, that actually my teacher, my boss, one of the biggest founder of BMT, his name is Amjad Saad. So somehow Amjad is the great name in Islamic microfinance. I think if you come to Indonesia asking about BMT, people will say about Amjad Saad, and we have Amjad Saqib here. So salam from my senior Amjad Saad to Dr. Amjad Saqib. And again, from us in Indonesia, we are more than happy to share our knowledge and experience in BMT, because we believe while it is benefiting the people in Indonesia, inshallah it can be benefiting the people in your respective countries. And inshallah our niyat is to share this knowledge as amal jariyah. It is not a franchise. Even when you establish BMT in your country, you don't need to call it BMT. I mean, it's fine. Inshallah, Allah will know whether it is BMT or not. You can, because the best thing is, it's not about the name of BMT, but to create something benefiting your people, helping the poor in your area. So if you need to use other name, it's fine. And now because of COVID, we are forced to be connected by digital like this, and it is good. So like last time, I had to fly so many hours to Nigeria to share my knowledge, but this time I'll be more than happy to be connected to our friends in Nigeria. If you want to have more discussion about us, we can do it online. You can share your case, and I'll try to find the right BMT friend maybe to share the relevant experience for you all.
I think
and
the
last
credit,
but not least, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and last but not least, I apologize for any mistake during this silaturahim, and hoping that this is not the end. I mean, it is the start of our long-lasting,
Inshallah.
fruitful silaturahim and collaboration.
Yes,
And Dr. Abdul
inshallah.
Saqib, hope we can meet in Pakistan next time, inshallah.
I think the best thing is thank you to TAIF, and I
Yeah,
don't know
also
if
thank you to
Brother
TAIF for the great initiative.
Zia is there, but I think this is a best way of starting a community. Online, we can all connect from wherever, and people have benefited from, your knowledge, from Dr. Saqib's knowledge of about, I think, 30 years, more than 30 years of helping communities in Pakistan and around the world, and your knowledge as well, Brother Jamil. So
Oh yeah,
that's it.
Anika, one correction. The name of our organization is not KENGS, but KNEKS.
Okay, I was trying to pronounce it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just KNEKS. It is not a word, it is abbreviation actually.
Okay, great. So I think for us, the lesson today, I learned a lot from Akhuat, especially the spirit of muakhat, which I still, Dr. Sab is very humble. I keep on telling him, I haven't seen it around the world. And trust me, I have traveled the world. I have gone to indigenous communities. And if we call it Islamic microfinance, for me, what matters is what is the spirit Islamic? I always ask, what is Islamic then? Microfinance wasn't, it was a Western term. But the Islamic is how we all, how Akhuat and BMT has done. How do you channelize these donation and streams of Sadaqah, Sadaqah Jariyah running through a Muslim or any society or community, and how communities can benefit from it. So this is it from me. Fahad, is Brother Zia there?
No, unfortunately, could not join. He had some engagement, but on behalf of TAIF and Brother Mohammad Zahir Siddiqui, I thank you, our panelist. I thank you, Anika, for organizing such a great event. Please, everyone, connect us on LinkedIn, and inshallah, this is a momentum we want to start. And on the technology side also, we are available, and we can guide you, inshallah. There's some other initiatives coming pretty soon at TAIF level. So microfinance is one of it, inshallah. So that concludes our webinar. Thank you very much again, everyone. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.